If you feel empty even when nothing is technically wrong, good job, stable life, people who care about you, that feeling isn't a malfunction. It's a signal. And the way most people respond to it, by pushing harder, achieving more, staying busier, makes it worse every single time. This video is about what that signal is actually pointing to. In the next 12 minutes, I'll show you. Number one, why feeling empty and lost in life hits hardest precisely when things are going well, and what that timing reveals about the real source of the feeling. Number two, the ancient concept of soul vacancy and why modern psychology has been misdiagnosing this feeling as damage when it's actually a case of mistaken identity. Number three, a concrete self inquiry practice rooted in Vedic Svadhyaya that turns emptiness from a wound you manage into a doorway you walk through. Let's get into it. A woman named Priya, 34, senior product manager at a company she worked a decade to get into, messaged me last year. She said something I've heard in different words from dozens of people. I had one of my worst days in my life. I just opened YouTube, and this was the first video on my start page. She wasn't in crisis. She had a good life by every external measure, but she wrote, depression is being colorblind and constantly told how colorful the world is. She wasn't depressed in the clinical sense, she was empty, and she had no framework for why. That's exactly what this video is for. Viktor Frankl noticed something strange inside Auschwitz. The prisoners who survived longest weren't always the physically strongest. They were the ones who could still locate a reason to be alive, a person waiting for them, a book they wanted to finish, a question they hadn't answered yet. Meaning, he wrote, is not a luxury, it is oxygen. Now, take that observation and flip it. If meaning is oxygen, then emptiness is not the absence of oxygen. It's the sensation of breathing recycled air. You're technically getting something. It just isn't sustaining you. This is why feeling empty and lost in life hits hardest exactly when things look fine from the outside. You've been breathing recycled air for years, the air of other people's definitions of success, the air of comparison, the air of I'll feel it when I get there. And you got there, and the air is still recycled. Prabhupada called this the hankering and lamenting cycle. You hanker for something you don't have, you get it. You lament that it didn't do what you thought it would. Then you hanker for the next thing. Most people spend their entire lives in this loop and call it ambition. Modern meaning research, specifically the work of Michael Steger at Colorado State University, confirms this with data. He found that the presence of meaning and the search for meaning are two different psychological states, and they don't always overlap. You can be searching frantically and feel nothing. You can stop searching and find it sitting quietly underneath the noise you were making. The timing of emptiness, arriving at milestones, after achievements, during stable periods, is the signal. It's your interior life telling you that the coordinates you've been navigating by don't point to where you actually need to go. The takeaway here is simple but not easy. Stop treating the timing as cruel irony. The fact that you feel empty and lost in life right after getting what you wanted is the most useful data point you have. It rules out the external world as the solution. That narrows the search considerably. The dominant framework in popular psychology for explaining emptiness goes like this. Something happened to you in childhood, in a relationship, in your nervous system, and that wound created a hole. The path forward is to heal the wound, regulate the nervous system, reparent yourself. That framework helps a lot of people. It's not wrong, but it's incomplete. And for a specific kind of person, someone who has done the work, who understands their attachment style, who has been in therapy, it leaves an unanswered question. Why do I still feel empty even after I understand the psychology behind it? The Vedic tradition offers a different map. In Sanskrit, the concept is Atmasunyata, roughly translated as soul vacancy, but the translation is misleading because the Vedic position is that the Atman, the self, is never actually vacant. It is pure consciousness. It cannot be emptied. What can be emptied is Prakriti, the conditioned mind, the personality built from experience, the identity assembled from roles and reactions. When Prakriti mistakes itself for the Atman, you get a very specific kind of suffering. You feel empty because something that was never designed to be the source of fullness is trying to be. Polyvagal theory, developed by Stephen Porges, maps the nervous system into three states: ventral vagal safety, sympathetic activation, and dorsal vagal shutdown. That third state, dorsal shutdown, is what people often describe as emptiness, numbness, flatness. The lights are on, but no one is home. Dorsal shutdown is the nervous system's response to a perceived threat it can't fight or flee from. But what is the threat? In most modern cases, it isn't physical danger. It's the chronic low grade threat of living as a self you don't recognize. The conditioned identity, Prakriti, is under constant pressure to perform, to achieve, to be legible to other people. When that performance exhausts the system shuts down. The Vedic frame and the neuroscience frame are pointing at the same thing from different directions. You are not damaged, you are misidentified. The emptiness you feel is Prakriti running out of fuel. It is not the Atman disappearing. The Atman, the witnessing awareness underneath all of this, has been there the entire time, watching the performance, waiting for you to stop confusing the actor with the audience. This is a fundamentally different diagnosis than you have a wound. A wound requires healing. A misidentification requires recognition, and recognition can happen in a moment. When you feel empty and lost in life, the question to ask is not, "What happened to me?" The question is, "Who is aware of this emptiness right now?" Something in you is noticing the feeling that something is not empty. Find that, and you found your footing. Svadhyaya is one of the niyamas in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. It translates as self study, not self improvement, not self optimization, self study. The distinction matters enormously. Self improvement assumes you are a project to be completed. Self study assumes you are a mystery to be understood. One creates pressure, the other creates curiosity. And curiosity, as it turns out, is the antidote to the flatness that comes with feeling empty and lost in life. I want to give you a concrete practice, not a concept, not a reframe, a thing you can do tonight or tomorrow morning that takes 10 minutes and builds over time. It has three questions. You write the answers, you don't type them, you write them. Question one: what did I do today that felt true? Not good, not productive, true. This is a different filter. Productive things can feel hollow. True things feel like you. Even if the answer is, I sat with my dog for 20 minutes and didn't check my phone, that counts. Write it. Question two: what did I do today that felt performed? This is the Prakriti audit. Where were you playing a role for an audience, even an imaginary one? The email you wrote to sound competent rather than to actually communicate. The conversation where you said what you thought they wanted to hear. The goal you're chasing because it impresses people whose opinion you don't even respect. Write it without judgment. You're studying, not prosecuting. Question three: if no one was watching and nothing was at stake, what would I have done differently today? This question is where the signal lives. The gap between your answer to question three and how you actually spend the day is the exact size of your emptiness, not as an accusation, as a map. Prabhupada described this process as turning the mind inward from objects to the self. He wasn't talking about navel gazing. He was talking about a disciplined daily practice of asking, what is actually mine here, and what have I borrowed from the world's expectations? Michael Steger's research found that meaning isn't discovered in grand moments of revelation. It's constructed through repeated acts of reflection. People who feel a strong sense of meaning in life don't have better circumstances. They have a more consistent practice of noticing what matters to them and making small adjustments toward it. The Svadhyaya reset works because it doesn't ask you to feel anything, it asks you to notice. When you're in dorsal shutdown, when you're numb, flat, colorblind in a colorful world, you can still notice. Noticing is available even when feeling isn't. And noticing, done consistently, starts to thaw the system. Do this for 7 days. Don't evaluate it after day one. The practice accumulates. By day 4 or 5, you will start to see a pattern in your answers to question three. That pattern is not a self help exercise. That pattern is you trying to tell yourself who you actually are underneath the performance. That's where feeling empty and lost in life stops being a problem you're stuck inside and becomes the beginning of something genuinely different. The three questions will show you the pattern. But knowing the pattern and knowing what to do with it are two different things. And that gap is exactly where most people stall. If you have tried this kind of reflection on your own and you keep running into the same wall, the same loop, the same flatness, the same sense that you can see the problem but can't move through it, the fastest way forward is a real conversation. I do free 30-minute calls, one on one, no pitch, no agenda, other than figuring out where you're actually stuck. You'll walk away from that call with a clear next step specific to your situation, whether we ever work together or not. The link to book is in the description at dailymindreset.com to your consultation. It costs nothing. The only requirement is that you show up honest. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, subscribe. There's a lot more of it here. Tell me in the comments, when does the emptiness hit you hardest? Is it during quiet moments or right after something you worked for finally arrives?